This is AAFDtv, the official streaming TV show for the American Association of Franchisees and Dealers, whose mission is to help our members achieve total quality franchising. Let's get today's show started.
Welcome to AAFDtv, the official streaming show of the American Association of Franchisees and Dealers. I'm your host, Corey Mosley, and I'm thrilled to have you with us. Today's episode is packed with valuable insights, including interviews with Misty Chally, Esquire, CEO of Capital Solutions, and AAFD's Director of Public Affairs and Engagement, Keith Miller, plus a special announcement about the Franchisee Leadership Summit. But before we dive in, let's take a closer look at a recent AAFD press release. The American Association of Franchisees and Dealers is proud to announce the addition of 6 new franchisee associations to its expanding network since the start of the new year, further strengthening the collective voice of independent franchise owners nationwide. Among the new associations joining the AAFD are EnviroMaster and Mighty Dog Roofing, both of which have taken proactive steps to unite their franchisees and advocate for their shared interests. The remaining 4 associations have not yet made public announcements regarding their formation, and the AAFD fully respects their decision to remain confidential at this time. Richard Stroney, CEO of the AAFD, said, "We are honored to welcome these new associations into the AAFD community. Their commitment to collaboration and advocacy reflects the very spirit of our organization, and we look forward to supporting their growth and success in the years ahead." This expansion underscores the growing need to strong independent associations and AAFD's unwavering commitment to empowering franchisees through education, support, and collective action. AAFD-TV co-host Joan Bowling recently spoke with CEO of Capital Solutions, Misty Chally, Esquire, about legislation, immigration, and lobbying. Take a look at their conversation.
Misty, thank you so much for being with us here today. What is happening in Congress right now that franchisees can't afford to ignore?
Well, first, thank you for having me, and thank AAFD for having me on as well. Right now, I'd say franchisees need to focus on the tax package that Congress is working on. They've had a couple of hurdles that they've met, and so right now, they're working on putting together different provisions in a tax package or a reconciliation package that you might have heard that name. And because it's a reconciliation package, it only needs a majority of the votes in both the House and Senate. So this is the one package that actually has a chance of passing because they really only need a majority of the vote. So I would focus on the provisions of the tax package.
So those provisions then are quite significant to franchisees. Now, as well, immigration policies are shifting. What does that mean for franchise owners on the ground?
The immigration policies are shifting primarily through executive orders in the administrative branch. And that has a huge impact on franchisees' workforce. Everything from the temporary protective status, the revocation of the TPS, it's called, for Venezuelans and Haitians, as well as termination of parole programs for many other individuals, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, and then just the massive deportations going on. There are a lot of people that are worried about losing their workers, whether they're here legally or illegally. So I think it's a huge issue. I don't think that's going away anytime soon, but it is more of an administrative branch action than it is a congressional action. So really focusing on Department of Labor, the White House, and those federal agencies that are handling this issue.
And it's so important to have skilled, trained workers for a franchise, as well as that impacts operating hours, that impacts payroll, and that impacts profit. So what you're saying is we need to really keep that in front of franchisees, correct?
Yes, we need to keep it in front of franchisees, and it's moving so quickly that the constant flow of information is very important. This revocation of the parole programs is just recent, and those that are covered are already receiving letters about their termination. So all of this is moving very quickly in the administrative branch.
That is a key issue as well. Lobbying in Washington. Why should franchisees see it as a must-have, not as a maybe?
Well, there are certainly people here in Washington and organizations coming here to talk about issues that could hurt your business. We need franchisees here in Washington to come tell your story about how provisions and initiatives can help your business and how to stop those initiatives that are hurting your business. If you're not here, who is going to tell your story? When, in my experience on the Hill, members and their staff don't really understand even what a franchise is and what the franchisees pay for versus what the franchisor's role is. So it is crucial that we have franchisees come here, talk about being a small business owner, talk about the business model and the proposals that are hurting your business.
It sounds like education is the key in lobbying to keep those issues for franchisee in front of the key people in Washington. That business will impact not only the businesses and the franchisees, but all of us. Thank you so much, Misty, for being here with us in this very interesting, informative conversation.
Thank you for having me.
To connect with Misty, please visit capsolutionsllc.net or email her at mistyc@capsolutionsllc.net.
It's time to save the date, October 26th through the 29th, 2025. AAFD announces the 2025 AAFD Franchisee Leadership Summit. We're excited to announce the summit, and it's coming soon, so mark your calendar and save the date for this must-attend event, taking place on October 26th through the 29th, 2025 at the Hilton Capitol Hill. Join industry leaders, experts, and peers for insightful discussions, networking opportunities, and valuable takeaways that will shape the future of franchising. Stay tuned for more details, including speaker announcements and registration information. Keith Miller, AAFD's Director of Public Affairs and Engagement, joined me for a conversation about legislative issues at both the federal and state level that franchisees need to know about. Here's that conversation. Keith, we're super excited to have you with us today. You're what we call in TV a tough get, so we're glad that we got the opportunity to speak to you. Let's jump right into this conversation. What federal legislation is the AAFD pushing right now that franchisees need to know about?
Great. Thank you for having me this morning, Corey. So the main piece that we've been working on is a private right of action bill. Currently, under the FTC franchise rule, you don't have a private right of action if you've been wrongly disclosed. So last year we had HR 1031, which gave you that right and also allowed you to seek damages if you were wrongfully disclosed.
Okay. And that's something that, from the federal perspective, we're trying to push so it's not so obtuse, basically, on a state-by-state level in terms of having franchisees understand that?
Correct. And some states do give you a private right of action, but it's kind of a checkerboard, and you don't always know with signing your franchise agreement what state you're under their law.
Right, 100%. So that's federal. Now, of course, we always have the state level. So let's pivot for a moment and talk about what's happening at the state level that you believe could impact franchise owners. And I guess more importantly, how's AAFD getting involved in that?
So we've been involved in many states over this last year. Unfortunately, tough to get bills passed, and we failed in some cases. Currently, we're still working on a bill in Maryland that really a bill was introduced and we were able to get rid of a piece of language that would limit franchisees' ability to sue the franchisor based in Maryland. We worked with the International Franchise Association on that. So we got that language out. We did still protect the language in there that would give the right to association for franchisees. So that's Maryland. And we also this year had legislation in New Mexico, Oregon, and Virginia going after non-competes, going after undisclosed fees. And the New Mexico was a comprehensive bill based on Indiana law. Unfortunately, all of those died in committees.
Well, I want just a quick follow-up. Why does that typically happen, in your opinion?
One, franchisees aren't fully engaged. We need to get local franchisees engaged, and franchisees are busy. They're running their business, so it's hard to get them involved. And money. It's if you have the large franchisors don't want that in there, they can pump a lot of money in to hire very expensive lobbyists, and it's a challenge. I say passing legislation is like going undefeated and winning the Super Bowl. You can't have a single loss along the way.
Regulations. I mean, let's move to that really quickly. Certainly, regulations can make or break a business. What key issues is the AAFD tackling right now to protect franchisees?
Well, I think we have to look back a little bit to last year when you saw in July the FTC come out with major announcements, probably the most major announcement they've ever made in their history on franchise regulations. And that's been fairly well documented. The AAFD was very involved with that. Going forward under the new administration, I think we're looking at improvements to the franchise rule so that disclosure is clearer and better. For people to get a 500-page document when they're going to buy a franchise, it's just really hard to understand. And really looking at enforcement and making sure states are enforcing their regulations and the FTC is, because regulations without enforcement really isn't having regulations.
For sure. Well, before I let you go, how can franchisees step up and really support these efforts to drive real change?
And this is absolutely the key issue. We have franchisees in every congressional district in this country. We have, in a sense, the feet on the ground. We may not have the money, we have the feet on the ground. So you need to get to know your representative, state and federal. We actually track who every member of AAFDs we have, who your federal House member is.
Okay.
We do track that. You need to get involved with them, get to know them. And when you get an email from me, it'd be from me when the AAFD, when I'm asking for you to be engaged, you need to be engaged. I can't send out 10 emails and get 1 or 2 engagements from a congressional district.
Right.
If I get 10, it makes my job easier and it's much more impactful.
Keith Miller, Director of Public Affairs and Engagement for AAFD, thank you for taking the time to join us today and give us some of these latest updates. We look forward to having you back in a future episode.
Thank you, Corey.
If you're interested in connecting directly with Keith, he encourages you to email him at kmiller@franchiseeadvocacy.com. Well, that does it for today's show. Thanks for watching, and be sure to share this episode with your industry friends, partners, and colleagues. I'm Corey Mosley for AAFD TV, and I will see you next time.